Hi folks, and thanks for joining. My name is Samantha Fritz and I am the project manager for the Archives Unleashed team. And over the next few minutes, we're going to dive into the world of community building and engagement, which is quite extensive and reaches many domains, from urban planning and civic engagement to technology development and the education field. Whether we recognize it or not, we all belong to various communities. We participate in them professionally and personally, from hobbies and cultural associations to various working groups and initiatives. The process of community building and engagement is critical for all projects, regardless of sector or discipline. And every so often, we have an opportunity to see a community develop from the ground up. And this presentation is a reflection of just that. How the Archives Unleashed project developed and implemented strategies to grow and connect with our community. In reflecting on a short study conducted by our team, we're going to focus our attention on two areas: the results from investigating the impacts of Archives Unleashed Datathon events on the professional practices of our attendees, as well as community engagement within the web archiving field. And then we're going to introduce our community engagement model, which can be broadly applied to other projects. In sharing our experiences, we hope to encourage, inspire, and provide guidance to digital humanities projects as they consider approaches to engagement. So for those who are new to our project, let's start with a bit of context around the work that we do and how we fit within the web archiving ecosystem. Collection and preservation of born digital data has been underway since 1996. And since then, web archiving has increasingly become part of research agendas for national libraries and archives and memory institutions around the world. 25 years worth of preservation has resulted in vast amounts of data. But even though this data has been captured, it doesn't necessarily mean it's easy to access or use. So despite the volume of data captured over 2.5 decades, web archives have largely remained inaccessible for three main reasons. First, computational access at scale requires an understanding of high-performance computing. As well, individuals need to be familiar with command line, and both of these assume an advanced technical knowledge that tends to be out of reach for most digital humanities and social science scholars. We also recognize that scholars consistently face time, resource, and support limitations. And so this is where the Archives Unleashed project comes in. The project grew out of a need identified among the scholarly community for user-friendly tools to work with born digital artifacts, specifically the WARC file format. And lowering barriers of access and use has come in the form of developing transparent, open source, and easy-to-use tools that empower scholars to work with web archives. But equally important to tool development has been our community building and engagement efforts. And this is because projects can't live in silos, and they can't exist without community. So think about switching the words project with institution, services, or business, and then switch the word community with patron, customer, and client. Creating open source tools requires fostering a user community around it, which in our case has meant dedicated efforts in the realm of engagement and outreach. Drawing from a broad definition, community engagement refers to people working collaboratively through inspired action and learning to create and realize bold visions for their common future. Community engagement is vital because it builds a relationship that actively seeks to understand the goals, the needs, and the values held by a community. And without engagement and understanding of a community's composition, projects can be vulnerable to missed opportunities and, on a more serious note, spend efforts on developing tools and services that aren't adapted by their intended audience. There are several activities our project has undertaken to support community building and engagement. So we've provided robust open source code documentation, we've run a Slack group with open sign up for sharing and discussion, and regularly communicated through blogging and newsletters and other communication strategies. Our team has also built relationships with like-minded projects and institutions, from the Internet Archive to university libraries and national libraries in both North America and Europe. And of course, we've also participated in a number of scholarly activities that support and foster information sharing. The centerpiece of the Archives Unleashed community engagement strategy has been to host a series of Datathons. Our Datathons are based off of a genre of events known as hackathons, which emerged in the early 2000s and were primarily used within the tech industry to develop new computer software. It combines the terms hacking and marathon, and the events were often a result of an intense, uninterrupted period of programming. The Archives Unleashed Datathons brought together an interdisciplinary group of individuals over 2 days to work collaboratively on projects as well as gain hands-on experience with web archive data. And we've seen great success with these events. We've engaged with over 70 participants from 7 different countries, as well as 50 unique institutions. And the projects that have come out of these events have been truly creative and inspiring. Our team was interested in exploring the impact of our Datathons on professional practices of attendees and community engagement within the field of web archiving. A total of 8 semi-structured interviews were conducted with Datathon alumni and subsequently coded and themed. Our interviewees represented 3 broad professional categories: library and archive practitioners, tool developers, and researchers. And as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of overlap. Through our interviews, we found 4 major themes, the first being that Datathons contributed to skill building. Overall, we found our Datathon events contributed to an increased knowledge of web archiving at a high level, so theoretical aims and systems, as well as at a granular level, so the technical skills. These events provided a unique opportunity to work directly with web archival data and specific analysis tools. And this is something that isn't necessarily present in the day-to-day activities of our attendees. And it also helped participants make a stronger case for web archiving within their institutions and communities. The Datathons exposed attendees to diverse interdisciplinary perspectives. Small group collaboration allowed participants the opportunity to work with a diverse range of perspectives, and participants had to adapt and communicate across disciplinary lines. The Datathons also fostered community formation, so these events created a space in which individuals would not have otherwise met. Participants were equipped with the skills to become ambassadors within the broader web archiving community. We also noted a shift for participants who attended multiple Datathons, which influenced them to organically grow into a mentorship role both at the event and within the larger community. And finally, Datathons fostered a sense of belonging. Event activities and elements were designed to foster an open and welcoming atmosphere. The sticky note exercise, which was adapted from participatory design, helped individuals find colleagues and topics they most identified with. And working together in organically formed groups, individuals felt like their frustrations, their limitations, and struggles with technical barriers could be empathized by others due to the shared experience. These interviews helped us generate a community engagement model. We were able to identify and draw inspiration from 2 models, one from agile and open source software development, the other from civic engagement. And we've adapted and reimagined these examples to capture our approach to community building and engagement. And we hope it provides a flexible and adaptable framework for digital humanities projects to draw guidance from. The model takes on the infinity symbol to indicate that stages don't necessarily happen independently or at one time. And our community engagement model identifies 6 stages. The first being scope, which identifies the problem or question as well as stakeholders that will make up the community. Our second stage of Inform provides information so that the community can understand present problems and potential solutions. So for us, we've established information sharing platforms with regular engagement, while also offering opportunities for contributions. Our third stage, Consult, is about conducting an open dialogue with the purpose of actively gathering feedback from the community. For our team, this has meant assembling and consulting with an advisory board, as well as conducting surveys and interviews with the emerging community of users. Stage 4, Involve, we work with the community to ensure concerns and wishes are considered. So here we've collaboratively worked with the community on tool development, and a primary undertaking has been directly involving community members in our Datathons, and then from there drawing on participant conversations and experiences to inform our development cycles. Stage 5, Collaborate, revolves around establishing partnerships and fostering interdisciplinary collaboration, both peer-to-peer and peer-to-institution. To do this, we engaged in partnerships with academic institutions for the purpose of resource sharing and exposure, specifically Web Archive collections. And our Datathons offered a significant connection between institutions who create Web Archive collections and the researchers who want to use them. Our sixth stage, Empower, is about encouraging and supporting scholars in building confidence and the skills needed to work with web archives. Datathons have empowered individuals through learning opportunities, and our project has invested in developing accessible learning-based resources, for instance, our learning guides, video tutorials, and documentation. So as we wrap up, a few takeaways from this discussion. Archives Unleashed has developed transparent, open source, and easy-to-use tools that allow scholars to work with web archives more freely. The project also dedicated efforts in community engagement and outreach, acknowledging that community is essential for projects to survive and thrive. And this has meant building relationships among users, as well as developing partnerships and connecting to established communities. The project has adopted several community building and engagement activities, of which our Datathon events have been the centerpiece. In interviewing Datathon participants, we can see the positive impact on the professional practices of our attendees and the community engagement within the field of web archiving. Interviews with Datathon alumni identified 4 major themes. The first being that events contributed to skill building, increased knowledge, and hands-on experience with web archival data. Through collaborative work, attendees were exposed to diverse interdisciplinary perspectives which required cooperation and communication across disciplinary lines. Datathons fostered community formation and equipped attendees with the skills to be ambassadors and mentors. And finally, the events fostered a sense of belonging where individuals were able to relate based on shared experiences. The Archives Unleashed project presents a flexible and adaptable 6-stage community engagement model which can be adopted by digital humanities projects as they plan their own community engagement strategies.